Welcome back. You're with us on Bazaar Morning Call, and we're looking at trends from the IT space now. Of course, what companies are saying, what's happening with respect to the business and overall hiring trends. So let's actually talk about this, because hiring activity seems to have picked up pace. This is as per the Naukri JobSpeak Index. This index saw an 11% jump in June. IT hiring has seen a turnaround after months of muted activity. To talk about this and how companies are positioned, we have with us Pawan Goyal, Executive Director and Chief Business Officer at Naukri.com. And we also have Abhishek Kumar, IT Services Research Analyst at JM Financial. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining in. Let's start with the good news first, Pawan. So it's great to hear that the JobSpeak Index is now pointing towards an 11% improvement. This at a time when, global headlines are still weak, whether it's Google or yesterday it was Microsoft. I mean, the layoff announcements are real. So you tell us, how should we interpret this 11% increase in the JobSpeak Index? What level of jobs are we talking about? Is it large IT services companies, mid-sized? Tell us more.
Yeah, so I think we should, while there is a month-to-month JobSpeak variation, if you take a quarter view, the quarter view is more subdued. The April was at 9%, May was flattish, June was 11%. So for the quarter, it turns out to be about 6%. So it's a reasonably, not a doom and gloom, but not a very, I should say, ebullient scenario as well.
Now, when 6% over Q1, you'd say, right? That's the average increase.
Yes, 6% in the full quarter.
And this we're talking about routine, IT services jobs.
No.
Some more color on this. What kind of companies?
I'll give more color. Yeah. So this is for overall white collar hiring. Now, if you double click on IT. April was give or take 1 or 2%. May was negative, and June is slightly positive, which is 5%. Now, so that's a turnaround from a flattish or negative to +5, but it is still only 5%. And if you average for the quarter, it still remains flattish. Now, in IT, it includes several other sub-classification. You have services, you have software companies, technology companies, and all of that. So if you go by another next level double click, IT services is still negative. I don't have the specific number there, but in IT software and technology, they are more positive.
So what's the quarterly average for IT services? Like you said, 6% is average for white collar jobs overall.
For
IT services?
IT overall is flat.
IT overall is flat. Got it.
And how would Pawan, but is there any trend? How would this number of 6% and even flat for the IT services compare with the prior 2 or 3 quarters?
So if you take the full 5-quarter view for IT, so starting from, let's say, Q1 of last year, there was one quarter, which is July, August, September of last year, Q2 fiscal, Q3 calendar, which saw a robust 10% plus growth.
Okay.
All the other 4 quarters have been very similar. It's like either 1%, 0%, -1. It's varied in that range, except for that one quarter. So IT overall has remained muted. There are months where it seems like perhaps it will buck the trend, but other than that one quarter, it's not sustained.
So it's the same for the last 3 quarters at least?
Yes.
Correct? 3 or 4 quarters?
Absolutely.
And what about the open positions going into the next quarter? Do we have any numbers indicating a trend, or what would the number stand at?
So JobSpeak is a measure of that. It's both open, whatever as people have searched for, and all of that. So it's an all-encompassing metric. So I don't, how things will change into July, it's hard to predict. But IT long-term view has been flattish.
Okay. Abhishek, you want to come in? Starting next week, we will be asking the companies about their hiring plans for FY26. Last year was a muted year in terms of at least fresher hiring. Now that increasingly we are seeing automation or AI, becoming more mainstream, even in coding, what are your thoughts on IT hiring going ahead?
Yeah, hi. Good morning. Thanks for having me here. I think as far as hiring is concerned, for large cap IT, especially, there are a lot of dynamics that is playing out, not just automation. First is just demand, right? Demand still subdued. The players still trying to improve their pyramid, trying to bring in more efficiency. So we see utilization levels for most of the IT players elevated, and they will probably stay elevated. They don't want to build capacity right now. They are probably just replacing attrition with with freshers, and that's why that's how they are trying to improve their pyramid. But apart from that, they are not positioned for growth, because the visibility still remains low. So I expect on a net basis, hiring for IT services companies to remain subdued. Any hiring that they might do might be for specific skill set or for improving their pyramid by just replacing attrition.
Okay, Abhishek, that doesn't sound too great. I mean, from overall economy perspective either, you're expecting IT hiring to remain muted. Abhishek, maybe it's a little hard to answer this, but what's your sense? How much of this absolute flattish trend on IT hiring, how much of it is just because projects are getting delayed, there's global uncertainty, etc.? I mean, the business deals, and most companies have been telling us that, right? Even business conversations, deal ramp-ups, everything's getting pushed back. How much of this is pure business related? And how much could it be because of the changing nature of jobs? Maybe more AI, more automation? What's your sense?
Yeah, I mean, difficult question to answer. It's a combination of both, but I would say that it is more because of the delays in ramp-ups, deals not getting closed. There are margin pressures, so nobody wants to build capacity. So it's a lot more to do with the demand environment than because of AI. AI obviously has a role to play, but I don't think that is very prominent right now.
All right. Hi, gentlemen. Good morning. Good to see you all in. Well, Abhishek, I wanted to ask you a question with regard to earnings. Will a revision in Infosys' guidance to the lower end of the range that they've already guided for, will it excite the street? What are you penciling in?
Yeah, so our expectation is that they will raise the lower end of the guidance. At the beginning of the year, they said that their lower end of the guidance bakes in deterioration in the demand environment. That has not panned out. So we expect them to raise the lower end of the guidance, and then obviously a couple of acquisitions got concluded. So overall, we expect them to raise the guidance from 0 to 3% to 1.5 to 3.5%. That includes 50 basis points of inorganic contribution.
Okay, but will it be a positive trigger, Pawan? Or do you think it's in the price and it's only the lower end which gets upgraded?
So,
sorry, I meant the question is for Abhishek. Apologies.
Yeah, I think that should be taken as positive because, we saw it last year also. Infosys through the year raised its guidance. So that should be taken as positive by the street.
You've also downgraded Tech Mahindra to a hold. Can you take us through the rationale behind that?
Yeah, so Tech Mahindra, since 31st of April, has been the best performing large cap IT services stock, up 18%, significantly outperforming both its larger peers and Nifty IT. And now, its multiples forward, PE multiples are at a slight premium to Infosys. So we think that kind of caps the upside, and we are expecting a soft quarter for Tech Mahindra. So I think the stock can consolidate, and investors should wait for a better entry point to play the turnaround story. We still remain constructive on the on the turnaround path that they are on, but I think at this valuation, there could be some consolidation in the stock.
Okay, all right, got that. Abhishek, we want to actually, talk to you more about a lot of your picks, etc. Maybe we'll have a longer discussion. But right now, to wrap this up and go back to the hiring point, Pawan, while you're telling us about muted trends across IT, what is the indication? What are you hearing from companies? Why is demand low? And what are you anticipating on this whole AI piece, AI automation? Also, I mean, I don't know if there's any indication of salaries. Wherever there is hiring, because the market is so muted, I mean, is there wage deflation, so to speak, as well? Or could that be possible in the coming months?
So from a demand standpoint, it's all that we are hearing is uncertainty. Now, there are several geopolitical events which have contributed to it. And so the uncertainty in terms of where the business is what we are hearing. Now, in terms of AI, we see a significant demand for AI jobs. It's up in the 40% kind of a range, and it has sustained in that range for a long period. So AI demand is very, very robust. That's also leading to premiumization of talent. If you look at talent which is paid highly with respect relative to their experience, across experience segment, we see demand for that talent. Okay, so it's a demand for, let's say, this 20 lakh plus segment is in north of 20%. So by salary, it's the premium talent, more experienced talent that is in demand. Less premium talent, that's where we see demand being much softer. In IT, there's another trend we also see. The demand is higher in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So perhaps that's an indication of talent availability at the right price point. So that's also what we are seeing. Now, with respect to AI and its overall impact, it continues to remain a question on everybody's mind. But one indicator that I look at is growth in ITES and BPO segment. And for the quarter, that segment has grown by 9%. Okay, and June is an aberration, and it's much, much higher at 19. But for the quarter, nevertheless, still is 9%. So that is where one would expect an impact. But while it may happen in future, it is yet to materialize in our numbers.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. You know, last month I'd read some article which said that in the US, like graduates, so in the age of 22 to 27, so the degree holders, they're not getting jobs, and the unemployment faced by that category is the worst in a decade, barring the COVID period. And so, you know, so many of the computer science graduates who perhaps 2 years back would have, 3 years back, would have had 10 job offers, this time are struggling. And that's, what's happening on the AI front.
And that's also telling us that I think the IT landscape is now starting what could be a tectonic change phase from, low-level, entry-level jobs and mass hiring. What we were just hearing Pawan say, that the demand now is for experienced talent, for high-quality talent, people who've upskilled themselves. So the Indian IT landscape seems to be definitely going through a major, major change. Gentlemen, thank you very much for that. Great conversation. Thank you for all the perspective. But with that,